How's everyone doing this lovely Monday morning? This is your boy Reg in the building. Um, yeah, man, this album has been requested a lot over the years. I'm finally able to do this. I want to give a shout out to my homeboy, Ren Russ. I know he requested me to do this album like 3 years ago, and I'm just now getting into it. I'm gonna start doing way better with these requests because I know people have been requesting me a lot. And if you guys want something to be requested, make sure y'all donate to the Patreon as well too. The album I'm going to review today is Nine Inch Nails. If y'all can see the screen with their third studio album, The Fragile. This was released in 1999 on Nothing, the Nothing label, which is under Interscope. Nothing label is the label that's owned by Trent Reznor and John Malv Jr. Yeah, man. You guys should know who Nine Inch Nails is. It's basically Trent Reznor. In this lineup, you have Trent Reznor on vocals, program, and production. Charlie Clouser on keyboard, synthesizers, program, and additional sound design. Danny Lohner on drum programming, synthesizers, and guitars. And Jerome Dillon on drums. Singles albums known for are The Day the World Went Away, We're in This Together, Into the Void, and I'm also going to say Starfuckers was a single too. The producers include Trent Reznor, Alan Moulder, and Steve Duda. Alright, so not gonna do that. So you guys should know Nine Inch Nails. Pretty much one of my all-time favorite rock groups of all time. Even though it's mostly like Trent Reznor and stuff like that, but still. They released their first album, The Pretty Hate Machine, in '89, which that was a pretty dope record. They dropped the Broken EP in 1992, which was pretty solid. Then 1994, they dropped Downward Spiral, which is, in my opinion, their magnum opus. Very dope album, classic album, in my opinion. And after the release of the Downward Spiral, they went on tour and stuff. They did the Self-Destruct tour. They went on the they had performed at Woodstock '94, and man, which that performance was crazy with Trent throwing mud at people and shit like that. And so around that time too, they kind of Nine Inch Nails, took a little break from the studio, took a break and shit like that. They dropped a few EPs and compilations. Like in 1995, they dropped Further Down the Spiral, which is like a remix album of the Downward Spiral, to put it bluntly. Yeah, pretty solid joint. Also around this time too, Trent Reznor was going through like a very tough period. His grandmother had died while he was planning on doing this album and stuff like that. And so that pretty much caused him to go spiraling more into drug addiction. He had like a writer's block and shit too. And so, pretty much recorded this album when in New Orleans and stuff. Like I said before, if you guys thought the Downward Spiral was dark, and this album is a lot more darker, and he pretty much described it as it's based a lot in fear and stuff like that, because everything was happening to him, like very successful record, the whole shit with his family and so on and so on. And so with this album, pretty much got compared heavily to Pink Floyd's The Wall album that was released in 1979, which that was a very, 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 very good album and stuff like that. I need to talk about that album one day, because I have a lot of shit to say about that album. And so, yeah, fast forward to 1999. The 1999 VMAs was the first time well, actually, scratch that. The 1998 VMAs, when he was promoting it, they had like a 30-second teaser trailer to promote this album, which was not even named yet. Fast forward to 1999, they performed at the VMAs, and that's when they performed the title track, The Fragile, which I'm gonna talk about more throughout the whole album and shit like that. So yeah. Alright, so with this album being released, it's a double album, and back in the '90s, double CD albums was popular and shit like that. Yeah, man. This album has 23 tracks, so let's get this shit started. Track number one, Somewhat Damaged. Pretty solid track. It's a nice intro. Nice intro to what to expect from this album and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, very heavy track. The percussion on this track is amazing. Yeah, very dope track. Track number two, The Day the World Went Away. First of all, dope title for this album, for this song. Very dope title. And one thing I got from this track, The Day the Earth Went Away, is pretty much, it's not really been confirmed, but it's pretty much talking about the death of his grandma and stuff like that because, when his parents divorced when he was little, he went to live with his grandparents, so he always had, like, a very close nature with his grandma and stuff, so pretty dope track. It's pretty much like one small verse where he says, "I'll listen to the words he say, but in his words I heard decay. The plastic face forced to portray all the insides left cold and gray. There is a place that still remains. It eats the fear, it eats the pain. The sweetest price you'll have to pay the day the whole earth went away." And so with this track, he outros with the whole na 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 sound and stuff like that. So pretty solid track. I love this shit. Track number three, The Frail. The album is pretty much has a lot of instrumentals and stuff like that. So with this instrumental, it's like almost like a piano piece and shit like that. Nothing really to it, and it leads into track number four, which is The Wretched. The Wretched, man, it's another like kind of like heavy out there track, very dark piano track right there. Very dope song and shit like that. Like I said, just again with the lyrics and stuff like that, where he says, "Another day, some other way, but not another reason to continue. And now you're one of us, the wretched." And when he talks about the wretched, I believe he's meaning like people who seek more in life. I think that's what he means by that. But like I said, I could be wrong. But yeah, I feel like this track right here is another very dope track and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Track number five, We're In This Together. This was a single off this album. Oh man, this track right here was another heavy track right here. Um, this song, from what I looked up, was inspired by David Bowie's song "Heroes," which David Bowie is somebody that Trent Reznor looked up to all throughout his career. Bowie actually toured with Nine Inch Nails. I want to say like around like the mid to late '90s, if I'm not mistaken, and shit like that. Because if you guys really compare the careers between Trent and David, their careers are slightly similar to one another. So yeah, man, rest in peace to David Bowie, man. To this day, I'm still bummed that the nigga died and shit like that. Definitely one of my all-time favorite artists, influences in music. I mean, yeah, man, that low review is coming. It's coming, my guys. It's coming. All right, so and it that started. It's actually the song was actually played at the end of another track, but according to Keith Hillebrandt, who was like the of course touring keyboardist, he pretty much Trent wrote this track based on the other track and shit. And Trent, he pretty much described this song as, he said he likes the obviousness of the track, but I was fearful of the obviousness of the track, and in a record that I think is pretty dense and somewhat challenging to get through. I didn't want a song that was too obvious to hit single, unquote. And like he said that this was like one of the last records that they wrote for this album and shit like that too. So yeah, man. And so that is, of course, We In This Together. Track number six, The Fragile. Oh my god. Probably my favorite track off the first disc, and maybe my favorite track off this album too. This was the first song I've heard from the album. I love the performance that he did on the 1999 VMAs and shit. Like, very dope, dark tune and stuff like that. Um, I love the first line where he says, She shines in a world full of ugliness. And then with that bass like doom 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 doom. She matters when everything is meaningless. And then once the chorus, he's like, I won't let you fall apart. Like, basically trying to save her from her own weakness and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Very heavy track. It's like always one of my all-time favorite tracks off this album. Actually, my favorite track off this album, and pretty much a song. You know, I hear a lot of Nine Inch Nails fans love and stuff like that. So, the Fragile classic. Track number 7, Just Like You Imagined. Um, it's another instrumental, stuff like that. Track number 8, Even Deeper. Excuse me. Oh shit. Very in comparison to the other track, this one is like a more atmospheric track. His vocals are like more mixed down, and it's kind of buried when it comes to like the guitars and stuff like that. So yeah, this was a very dope track and shit. If you guys like that kind of ordeal, you know what I'm saying. Track number 9, The Pilgrimage, very good song. Another one of my favorite tracks. It's an instrumental, but it definitely has a very Indian feel to it based off the title and the guitars and shit like that. The Buddha Boys Choir, they did the background chants on this track too. So yeah, very cool instrument. I really kind of wish he would have put some words into it too, but eh. Track number 10, No You Don't. No pun intended. Um, no you. Oh wait, actually, hold up, scratch that because it's actually the track listing is kind of different. Yeah, yeah, No You Don't. That's the next track. This one's another very solid track right here. Very solid track right here. Very sick track and stuff like that. Nice guitar work, and it's like a very heavy track, you know, with the judgment of like the distorted guitars and how they were mixed on this album and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like the mixing on this album is phenomenal. Track number 11, Lamir. Another iconic song from this album and shit like that. Lamir is pretty much, you know, talking about, well, first of all, the lyrics are in French, in Creole French. And it's pretty much one of the first songs that they use the phrase "Nothing can stop me now" and stuff like that. And there was other vocalists besides Trent Reznor, and this was like one of the few Nine Inch Nails songs that actually has other vocals besides him and shit like that. Who was doing the vocals on this track? Hold on. Like I'm seeing Denise Milford vocals, track 11 and shit like that. Yeah, so I'm guessing that's her. Yeah, pretty sick song. I love that shit. And the last track off the first disc is called The Great Below, which The Great Below was actually a track where hold up, give me 1 second, cause I fucked something up. I forgot to mention when it comes to Lamir, um, Trent Reznor, he actually wrote this song when he was about to commit suicide because of the fact that he had moved and rented a house near the ocean, and he pretty much contemplated suicide there and shit like that. So that's kind of crazy too. And like yeah, The Great Below, that was a okay track, you know what I'm saying? Very okay track and shit, but dope synthesizer work on that one. And then that's the end of like that disc. So now we're gonna get into the right disc, the second disc. Track number 1, The Way Out is Through. The Way Out is Through. Pretty cool song right here. One thing I got from this track, one thing I really got from this track was the fact that another track we was talking about, you know, the death of his grandma, and just you know him just saying how you know, judging by the title, just the way out is through, just how death is calling and shit like that. You know, what else is there much to do in his life? Track number 14, we got Into the Void, which is another single off this album. Pretty cool song. I love the melody to that one and shit like that. It's pretty much like, again, like the sister track to La Mia, because like it has like the same melody and the same bass line and shit too. So, but I kind of prefer La Mia better, if that makes sense. Then we're gonna get into Where Is Everybody, which Where Is Everybody is talking about. You still talking about like where's the people that's quote unquote supposed to care about me and shit like that. The way I see it, very thumping drums and a nice bass line. The line I love the line when he says, "I never wanted to be like you, but for all I aspire, I am really a liar. I'm running out of things I can do." And that's like a very proponent line and shit, like very proponent line and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like people who like overwhelmed. They think that they can handle everything and whatnot. But then at that point, you just need to have your moment where he's like, "I can't do this. I need help and whatnot too." So yeah. Next track, the mark has been made. This is another instrumental was more darker, another more darker instrumental and shit like that. What's the next track? Next track we got is next track we got is called Please. Yeah, Please is the next track. Yeah, Please. Pretty much that song was pretty cool. Wasn't really feeling that song like that. It was a pretty cool track, which leads us into Starfucker. Very funny track. Um, Starfuckers Inc. Pretty much. It was rumored that this track was going after a lot of celebrities. It's going after celebrity lifestyle and whatnot. It was going after a lot of people like Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins, Courtney Love, David Lee Roth, and a lot of people thought he was actually attacking Marilyn Manson at that time too, because around that time, like in the mid to late '90s, Trent Reznor and Marilyn Manson, they were kind of going through a beef and shit like that. Because I want to say I want to say because Marilyn Manson was originally signed to Trent Reznor's Nothing label, and Reznor, he produced Manson's Antichrist Superstar album and shit like that, and so Manson left Nothing Records to Interscope, and they kind of clashed because of that. But then, if you guys watch the video to this song, the chick in the blonde wig, once she takes the wig off, it appears that it was Marilyn Manson. So that kind of signified that their feud was over, and they've since like performed together and whatnot too. So yeah, that's pretty interesting right there. Complication is the next track where it's like another instrumental and shit like that. Have very guitar heavy. Then it leads us into I'm looking forward to joining you finally. I'm looking forward to joining you finally with another song dedicated to his grandmother at that time. Love the drums on that track right there. You can feel his emotions with that track. Track number 9, The Big Come Down. The Big Come Down, again, another track with the drums very excelled and stuff like that. Reznor is very much yelling his lyrics out. Pretty much, some of the lyrics he was saying was the fact that he says like the hate that burns within, the most desperate place I've ever been. Try to get back to where I'm from. The closer I get, the worse it becomes. And he says the last line twice. Oh yeah, very dope track right there. Um, Track number 24, Underneath It All, which is again another like short song and shit like that. Basically short song and shit. And then it leads us into the last track, Right with Decay, which Right with Decay is another like atmospheric instrumental, which is like a very dark way to end off the album and shit like that. So And the reason why he ended off like this was because of the fact that the fragile is supposed to represent him trying to find happiness again, in my opinion. So, yeah. Overall, this is a very, very, very good album. It's a very good album. I I'm dare to say this is actually my second favorite Nine Inch Nails album. Very dark album, very moody album and shit. Yeah, man. Like I love the fact that he took a lot of chances and shit too. You know what I'm saying? The mixing was pretty good. The mixing was pretty good. Um, if I was to like make one note, I would just probably say like I'll probably say like some tracks was mixed better than others. Even though I commended the mixing, I would be like some tracks are mixed better than others and shit. Cause there's certain tracks where you really can't hear what he's trying to say and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But this is pretty much Trent at one of his like creative peaks and stuff like that. Very, very, very dope album. It's a classic to a lot of people, especially in 1999 when like that was around the time when Paul bubblegum pop was popping. And then you had like hip hop at that time was doing its own thing too and shit like that. So the Fragile came out and yeah, pretty much just redefined everything. This album was re-released in vinyl in 2017, so it's still in print. So yeah, this is a very, very dope album. I would highly recommend this album. Um, Make sure y'all like and subscribe to this video. Make sure you guys donate to the Patreon at Reg Reviews. Make sure y'all subscribe to my Instagram at MC Music and Twitter at Real Reg One. And I hope all you guys have a very peaceful